Well, thank you, Ms. Mears. Again, I'd like to welcome and thank each and every one of you trustees for allowing me the opportunity to speak again with you here in August. I just wanted to follow up on the presentation that I had made last month in regards to seeking the opportunity to be able to come and meet and service your employees. I can tell you that within the last couple of months, um, our our townships and villages that we are partnered with, especially the ones that do have first responders, which do have a police and fire, have been have all have sat down with me, and as we've talked through, especially not knowing what's right around the corner, as we look towards tomorrow, but looking at what has been happening the last month or so, a couple of months, that every first responder I've sat down with has spoken with me about how they can protect their families and be able to do it in a affordable way, utilizing the partnerships that we have forged with our trustees, with our townships and villages. Um, most people, when you go and ask them, are you interested in, do you want life insurance? Do you want this, that? Most people, it's a scary thing to really think about, what could be around the corner and what we know could be an inevitability. But as I sit down with people and I forgive and I present to them and I provide for them the $3,000 accidental protection coverage that each and every one of your employees would receive, the $3,000 accidental protection coverage for their spouses, and the $1,000 per dependent child, and also provide the non-insurance discount card. So once every employee takes advantage of that, and we sit and we just talk through, what's going on, in their lives, it really does seem that after speaking with me, I'm I'm being honest. Everyone's looking at how can they add a little bit of protection for their family. So that's what I'm bringing to Perry Township, is the ability to be able to provide a little bit of extra protection on top of what you currently offer through your medical and other plans. I can say that I have been partnering with other businesses around Perry Township, especially within Brookville. I did partner with and provide the no-cost coverage and the no-cost accidental death plans for the employees of the Brookville Grill. I am also currently in the process of finalizing a partnership with Image Pavement in Brookville. And also we are trying to get a time put together where I can provide for Zach Music and Music's Automotive. I have also, tomorrow, I will be in Brookville, traveling through to follow up with my partners there. And I also have appointments in the next door over in West Alex, meeting with Weber's Auto Body, and then I'm also meeting with Sankey Tractor in Eaton. So it's just not that I'm just flying through the area, which I'm not. My family does live within Perry Township over on Keener Road, and I spoke with Clay Township, and I know Steve and I are going to be chatting here in another month or so as we look towards October, because that was their plan of wanting to evaluate what they were doing with their benefits. With that being said, trustees, again, I'm here today to say that I appreciate you allowing me to present. I also appreciate the opportunity to be able to come in again and meet with your employees and provide for them, again, at no cost to you. Allow me the opportunity to get to know them and, allow them to have that little extra coverage for their family if the need arises. So, trustees, I don't know if you have any questions for me, but like I said, I'll be through Brookville tomorrow. That, if you could sit with me to allow me that opportunity to meet with them, I can work with Rhonda on getting a time set to where I can come in and individually meet with them through social distancing. I will give you rest assured that the only people that's going to contact them will be me directly. Liberty National doesn't bombard with offers and things like that, because we do take the privacy and the seriousness of what we do. If there's anybody that I would probably be bombarding, and that would be Rhonda, just checking in on her to make sure if there's anything that you need, if your employees need. And really how this works is I would just meet with them once a year, and they won't hear from Liberty National. But I am there if you need me.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Williams?
Have we pursued this at all? I know a couple of the township employees watched the recordings of the meeting after the fact. Has anyone shown any interest in speaking with Mr. Williams that we know of?
I have talked to about 4 or 5 police officers, and at this time they were not interested. I have not reached out to the road crew or any others.
Okay.
I can continue to reach out to more employees when I see them and ask if they are interested, and then contact Mr. Williams with those names.
Yeah, there's a lot of schedules to try to coordinate to have him come in, even though that might be the most expedient way, especially between the police, the road crew, and anybody else. So, yeah, if we can press and just formally ask, Sergeant Hessler to talk with the police, see if there's any interest, and then run it through Mike at the road crew. And then if there's an interest, then we can always set up office hours for Mr. Williams to come in and meet with them at their availability. I don't think there'd be a problem with that. I prefer that to the approach that was proposed last month.
Yes, I have to agree with Trustee Hartshorn.
Maybe set up a 2 or 3 hour window if Mr. Williams has the time to just come and sit, and whomever wants to speak with him can come at that point in time.
Well, instead of taking his time, I would hate for him to do that. I think maybe if Rhonda reaches out to him, or like Jason said, check with Sergeant Hessler and let him ask them, and that way we can set it up that way.
Yeah, but I mean after that.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So trustees, if I may, to allow me that opportunity, which I would thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come in and schedule a time to be able to sit and be available. Would you be agreeable that that I meet with Rhonda and take care of a few administrative matters so I can legally be allowed to be able to speak with your employees? And what that would consist of is just if Rhonda can provide for me, and this is for our corporate, and this isn't me, this is our corporate, to allow us to be able to form a partnership that if there is employees that want to take advantage of our products and still allow me to provide the 2 no-cost items to them, that I just get a couple signatures from Rhonda stating that you are who you say you are, and that we meet the legalities for the state of Ohio, Section 125, and also our corporate. Would that be possible?
After we find out that there is a definite interest, after we've spoken with Sergeant Hessler and the road crew, and we know that we will have people, then you and Rhonda can coordinate whatever you guys need to, but we're not going to sign anything until we know that we have people that are interested in it being signed.
So would that be something then that you would all vote on as trustees? Because again, I'm laying out, I want to make sure that I am disclosing everything for you. If you go ahead and do that, we can push out again. I'm thankful for any opportunity that you would provide for me. But once I get to go ahead from you, like I said, there's just a few things that I have to do, legally for the state of Ohio and for our corporate. So that would just take a few days to do once I'm able to sit down with Rhonda.
Sounds good.
Yes. Yeah.
Missy and Jason, do we want to set up a work session where we can discuss this? further?
Well, I don't really have an issue with it as long as Rhonda reaches out to everyone, and if someone comes back and says that yes, they're interested in it, then I guess at our next meeting in September, we can go ahead and say, yeah, we have so and so that's interested, and we can pass a resolution at that time.
Okay, I will reach out to all the department heads, and they'll be responsible to reach out to their employees who is interested, and then I'll contact Kevin Williams with the account or the number of people that are
Yes,
interested.
I
Okay.
think that sounds like a good idea.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you, trustees. And Rhonda, I look forward to hearing back from you here soon.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Have a good night.
Okay, so let's see. Resolution 20, approve minutes from the Board of Trustee meeting July 14th, 2020. Resolution 20, approve minutes from the special meeting July 10th, 2020. Resolution 20, approve payment of bills from check 35379 to check 35473. Electronic payment vouchers. See attached accounting and payroll payment list and cash summary. Resolution 2020-81, approve minutes 2020.
Missy, I think you have an old agenda. Some of that was not corrected.
Okay,
So the resolution 2091 will be for the Board of Trustees meeting July 14th. Resolution 2092, the special meeting August 10th. Resolution 2093 for payment of bills 35379 to check number 35473.
right.
So the resolution will be 2020-91 through 93, approving the 2 sets of minutes and the payment of bills.
Okay, sorry, this is what I was given yesterday, so I didn't
And
know
I
that.
had updated, so I apologize. I emailed that, a new corrected copy for you, but
Okay, no problem. I apologize. Okay, so resolution 2020-91, approve minutes and payment of bills. I need a motion to accept those.
So moved.
Mears,
Yes.
Wynn,
Yes.
Hartshorn.
Yes.
For the fiscal officer reports, I sent an email to the trustees August 3rd regarding a neighbor's wooden privacy fence, questioning if the trustees could address the following sections of fence. Some fence is standing, others are laying down in the grass, and some about to fall. Did you trustees drive by that property and review?
I did.
I did.
I did not.
Okay, trustee Hartshorn and trustee Muir, since you two drove past, what are your thoughts? Is there anything, this resident reached out to the township asking if anything can be done?
Yeah. The one thing that I was questioning was I looked into the Ohio fence law, and I don't know if that privacy fence was actually originally or established on the property line, which would make it fall under that. Do we know where the property line lays, where according to where the fence is?
I do not know, but speaking to the resident, I believe the fence is on the neighbor's property, or it's right on the property lines.
Okay.
Yeah, I just when I drove by, it's just a homeowner that's letting the fence fall down and they're not repairing it. The way I understand it is the person who owns the property beside it just doesn't like the look of it. So when she goes out in her backyard, so I don't think that there's really anything that we can do. Privacy fence has been there for a long time, looks like to me. So.
Mm-hmm.
And plus it's falling inward, not towards the neighbor's property.
So would you like me to call the resident back and let her know that there's nothing the township can do about that?
Before we do that, I don't know if anyone else has actually looked at the law on this, and it actually kind of, if it does fall within the law of the Ohio fence law, I don't know. I switched tabs in my Adobe Reader. I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but the
Yes.
procedure for a line fence dispute actually falls in one of two places. It either falls with the Board of Trustees or the Court of Common Pleas. There's some language here regarding, and this is where I was saying I didn't know if it was on the property line, because this law is about fences that are on property lines. There was a change in 2008 that actually made it possible to do an equitable split based on certain criteria that it lists above as to assigning percentages to each homeowner if it falls within certain criteria. This isn't as cut and dry as I think saying yes or no. It's something that we would deal with, because while it does seem to fall to a Board of Trustees per the law. So after reviewing this and seeing the property, and if we can get confirmation that that fence is on the property line, I'd like to run this up the flagpole with Nathaniel Peterson and see, you know, make sure we're doing our due diligence. I don't want to say no right off the cuff, just to make sure everybody's doing what they need to do. So if the other trustees don't mind, I'll take that action, and I'll coordinate with Karen from there if this needs to go towards zoning, or if it's something we actually have to have a hearing on from a trustee perspective.
Sounds good to me. When I spoke to Miss Binkin, when she was telling us about it, the neighbor is mowing a section over there, so I would not assume that it is a property thing. And the fence, like I said, the fence has been up there for a number of years. So, but yes, if that's what it says, then yes, we need to check into it.
All right, and I'll send the PDF to Rhonda for this so you guys can review it, and then, you know, that way you're informed with whatever I come back with Nathaniel on.
Okay, sounds good to me.
All right.
Okay, the second thing, the Wolf Creek watershed paperwork. It seems like I'm getting emails from Vic almost daily. I've been forwarding the emails to you trustees. The Ohio EWP program manager is reviewing the files that Perry and Vic have completed. Once the manager has completed her review, the documents will be uploaded to the national program manager to start the project agreement. Due to COVID-19, the project can be extended if needed to October 1st, 2020. As a reminder, Perry Township in-kind work will be $25,591 with an amount owed of $2,119 to be paid from the road fund. An updated email late yesterday afternoon, Ohio EWP program manager is reviewing the paperwork. The documents are being sent to the national office to start the project agreement. End date for the EWP project is still currently October 15th. Other area engineers are having the same issues due to COVID and projects getting submitted. Eventually, we'll probably need an extension letter from Perry Township so the project can be extended further. Trustee Hartshorn has donated his May, June, and July 2020 salary to the general fund totaling $2,841.24. The FO met with KLA Risk Consulting. This meeting is every 3 years, and we review procedures and recommend guidelines to prevent the township from insurance claims. FO emailed the New Lebanon fire reports to the trustees. You do receive the Brookville fire report, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have. The reports from the department heads, the road and cemetery. Mr. Kraft and Mr. Robbins met with Doug Kramer and Associates, and walked Sheep Road to review the 2020 widening and resurfacing details. I emailed you trustees the Sheep Road plans, I don't know, earlier this week or last week. I do need approval to close Sheep Road for Issue 2 road project. road closures will vary due to dates road crew is working. Can somebody make a motion for that?
I make a motion to approve closing of Sheep Road for issue 2 road projects, and road closures will vary to dates depending on road crew working.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Mears,
Yes.
Hartshorn,
Yes.
Wynn,
You're muted, Mindy.
Yes.
thank you. Approved to hire David Steffi as a part-time road and cemetery employee effective August 3rd, 2020 at a pay rate of $15.50 per hour.
I move to approve the hiring of David Steffi, part-time, effective August 3rd, 2020, at the pay rate of $15.50 per hour.
Second.
Hartshorn,
Yes.
Wynn,
Yes.
Mears.
Yes.
The burn box that the road crew purchased earlier this year, if you drive down Providence Road, you'll see the edges have been burned. Third time mowing township roads and also mowing township properties. Spraying cemetery drives, and we'll be in the process of ordering culverts and tile for Sheep Road issue 2. So some of those checks you will be signing will be expensive, just so you know those will be, and I will write on the invoice for Sheep Road issue 2. The annual asphalt resurfacing through Montgomery County is to be submitted by November 27th. Crack and seal is on our list for Amity Road, a half-mile east and a half-mile west of Clayton Road. This was scheduled for 2020, but due to COVID, expenses, and budget, the work will be resubmitted for 2021. And that is all for the road and cemetery report.
Rhonda, will we get the dates of the Sheep Road closure early enough that we can put it on our website and potentially Facebook page so that the residents know in plenty of time?
We can try. That is very difficult due to weather.
Yeah.
The road crews may not know until that day if they're going to be going out and working. Funerals, so it's going to be hit and miss on the road closures. I can have Mike contact me, and then I can put it on the Facebook page and notify you trustees.
Yeah, I think it's smart to at least put tentative dates up there, and then more pointed dates as they're approved or as they're worked, just to so people know. I mean, it's not necessarily a high traffic road, but there's definitely a good number of people that live there that are going to need to be made aware.
And also, I know at our couple meetings in the past, we had residents come in from Keener Road that was upset that they weren't notified. I think if we make some kind of generic letter, just letting them know, we can't give them dates, but we can give them, you know, we're going to do issue 2. And, you know, if you have any questions, you can contact Mr. Kraft. I think that would be a good option in case people doesn't have Facebook or whatever.
Okay, the tentative dates that the road will be closed, I am not able to provide those for you.
Yeah, no, I'm talking just a generic letter to let everybody know on Sheep Road that, you know, this
Correct.
is going to happen. Yeah.
Trustee Hartshorn had said some tentative dates, and you will have to reach out to Mr. Kraft for that.
Okay.
That's fine. I'll take care of that.
Okay. And I'll come up with a generic letter that we can send out to the people on the road.
Okay, thank you.
We might want to also notify the fire department, just if there is a road closed in their jurisdiction, just to let them know as well.
Mike does that all the time, yes.
Okay.
He'll do that. And he will contact the schools as well.
Right.
For school buses. I'm not quite for sure what New Lebanon School is going to be doing with COVID, but he will reach out to that school district.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and Miss Karen, zoning.
All right. For the trash, all third quarter trash payments that were sent in before August 2nd have been entered. And on the permit issued, there's 2 garage, 1 deck, 1 shed, 1 single family home. And we need a resolution to approve Paramount Light District assessment, and there has been no change since last year. And I'm working on the BZA scheduled, meeting scheduled for September 3rd, 2020, and the trash assessments of 2021, which will be due September 14th. And that's all I have.
Okay.
And just so people know, that BZA meeting will be on Zoom. Karen's already asked me about that, and I'm just waiting on the coordination to schedule that.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We will need a motion for the Paramount Light District.
Okay, so I make a motion to approve the Fairmont Light District assessment.
I'll second.
Mears,
Yes.
Wynn,
Yes.
Hartshorn,
Yes.
And I'm not sure if Chief Littleton is on this evening.
he is not on. He
Okay.
had he had to leave.
Okay.
So I do have his report. I need a resolution authorizing political subdivision to participate in the State of Ohio Cooperative Purchasing Program. And I emailed that to you trustees on July 31st, the model resolution to review. I'll need a motion for that.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the email.
Okay.
Apologies.
It was Friday, July 31st at 12:07 p.m.
So my only question about this is, in the email, the one we looked at, it was just a model resolution that had not officially been filled out yet.
That is correct.
So are we approving the model, or are we actually approving the purchase and
We're
the
not-
contract?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, are we approving the model resolution, or is this going to actually, are we going to fill it out where instead of saying local government unit, it will say Perry Township?
Yes, it will be designed for Perry Township.
Okay.
Perry Township will be inserted in there.
I know I have the email somewhere, but it's not coming up on searches right now.
Here, I'll forward it to you, Jason.
Okay.
A forward state bid.
Yeah, I make a motion that we go ahead and authorize the political subdivision on participating in the State of Ohio Cooperating Purchases Program. This is how we get our cars and everything else, correct, Rhonda?
That is correct.
Yeah. Okay, I make a motion.
I second it.
Mears,
Yes.
Hartshorn,
Yes.
Wynn,
Yes.
and to approve Stephen Biscardi. He's a full-time officer, but has been approved to go to salary at $1,520 per pay period, effective July 13th, 2020.
I so move that Stephen Biscardi be raised to $19 per hour based on the salary and his current position.
I second.
Wynn,
Yes.
Mears,
Yes.
Hartshorn,
Yes.
and that is all Chief Littleton for his report.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Anna, it looks like I'm up next. So let's see, you've been in contact with a resident who is mowing, trimming trees, bushes at the Hicks property. Have had several conversations with Chief Littleton regarding safety issues with the resident. I helped Karen with the trash bills. Drove by a couple of properties that were wanting information about replacing buildings that were damaged in a tornado, and also the fence issue on Westbrook Road. And I did speak to Miss Binkin last night regarding the letter on Sheep Road on issue 2. And I attended the funeral of the past trustee, Steve Frobe. And that's all I have.
Okay.
Okay, Miss.
My turn. All right.
Yes.
Well, the first thing, I've been continually attending the Ohio Leadership Academy, the Ohio Township Association Leadership Academy, OTALA. And we've been doing the classes online because of COVID, so they've all been kind of back to back. And next Monday, I'm going to be doing an 8-hour workshop sponsored by NATAT, which is the National Association of Towns and Townships. This is every spring. The National Association of Towns and Townships holds a legislative fly-in in Washington, D.C., where township officials from all over the country gather and discuss their topics affecting different townships. But because of COVID, it's not going to be a fly-in this year. So OTA is providing this online. It is a mandatory workshop that I will be using towards my Leadership Academy credits. Leadership Academy participants have to attend at least one. So I will be doing that on Monday. At the last meeting, I mentioned that I'd been doing some research and seeking some information into forming some citizen committees with our township. I first want to extend my thanks to everybody who reached out with some really great ideas, everything that was from citizens to things with youth to agricultural committees. So I narrowed it down, and I've picked out a couple that I'd like to get the ball rolling with. And if it's not one that you submitted, don't feel bad or think it's not going to happen. We have to have a starting point somewhere. And I've been working with Chief Littleton as well to get some services for a resident in need that ended up having a really happy ending to it. So the first one that I want to introduce and invite people to participate in is going to be Neighbors in Need. This came about, and basically when I first thought of running to be a trustee back in 2013, it was because after my husband was in an accident, so many people from the township that I didn't know came and mowed my grass and brought food and helped me clean and helped me do all kinds of things so I could be at the hospital and spend more time with him. This would be a type of committee to do certain things like that. If you hear of a neighbor who has had someone in their family has had to have an emergency surgery, or somebody that's fallen on financial hard times, it would be a group of people that could say, hey, I think so-and-so needs our help. And folks could go in and do what they need, get a meal train started, help clean up a yard, help mow, walk a dog. We'll leave it to the committee to decide what needs be done, but that's the first one that I would like to see off the ground in our township. If anyone is interested in chairing that committee, please let me know. And then whoever is interested in participating as well, get your names to me, or once we have a chair, we can announce a chairperson. You can get your names to that chairperson. But that would be the first one that I'd like to see. I feel like, you know, again, after the tornado, we had a lot of positive energy in this township, and I would like to see that continue in an official way. The second one that I was approached with that I think is a good idea has been suggested the name the Piermont Area Association. The reason for this committee is there was a request from quite a few people living in the Piermont area to do something as a group The group would be responsible for whatever they choose, from cleaning up areas, corners and sections of Piermont, to hosting neighborhood picnics or holding a Piermont Heritage Day or something that you would want to do that we could discuss. I've spoken with a lot of residents, and I've gotten a lot of conveyance that people who live in Piermont feel like a forgotten few. And Piermont is a very historical part of our township. Our heritage of the township is very rooted there. So if there are a group of folks, whether you have a business in Piermont or residents in Piermont or a affinity for Piermont, if someone would like to be on that committee, again, get with me. I'm looking for a chairperson as well. The chairs of the committee will be responsible for meeting with whoever wants to participate and setting your agendas, your schedule, what you do, and then reporting back to me, to which then I will bring back to Trustee Mears and Trustee Hartshorn with, hey, this is what they'd like to do, or this is what they did. So the chairperson would come to me, I would relay that. Everybody else on the committee would go to the chairperson. So if anyone has any questions or wants to participate, just find me, message me, text me, whatever you'd like to do, and we'll see how we go with these.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You bet.
Trustee Hartstrom?
Yes, so first I'll start with the ramp updates. There's a project to update and modernize the 2 ramps at our township building. Ms. Jones with the county sent an updated agreement to be signed by the township for the project with updated costs accrued to date. And I've been asked if I would be the one to sign it. As long as the other trustees don't have a problem, I'd be happy to sign that and take the responsibility similar to the past trustee who headed that project. The new agreement will be through March 2021. Kramer and Associates is ready to execute once the agreement is in place. And all the agreement does is basically it greenlights the funds that have already been set aside for the last couple of years to get this project done. There's nothing new. It's just extending the dates for which the funds can be spent. And we did get the good news that our building and electric permits have been approved for this project. So we're just waiting to execute on that. Fiscal Officer Benkin reached out to me with some information from from the company that provides us our trash billing, iWorks, and they have asked some questions about some services that they provide and if we have an interest as a township. So in regards to that, I've scheduled a demonstration with them that I'll be attending on the 27th of August to see what these services are. And some of these services may currently fit within our web hosting bundle. So we may be able to say, you know, no, we don't really need that because we already have that capability at no cost. Or if it's something that makes sense, I bring it back to the trustees and we review it next month. In the last month, I've attended the Miami Township Board of Trustees meeting virtually, the Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission TAC and disaster recovery meetings. I had a meeting with the county auditor's office on the tentative values, property values for Perry Township, and then a follow-up meeting that the county auditor had with the county officials regarding the property values review. On to the web and email hosting. All trustees, fiscal officer, and zoning administrator have their new email and it is active. We're done archiving the old AOL emails and we will continue to do that through the end of the month. We're still transferring, making sure that all the emails that were previously going to the general township email are being transferred over to the people they need to. Then my plan is to propose a resolution next month to formally cancel the AOL subscription that we have and move on from those services. The website is nearing initial development completion. I spent the weekend parts of the weekend, scanning in the approved minutes, agendas, and associated documentation since January 1st of this year. And I'm working to link those to the new website. So as soon as that's done, the website's initial development will be complete and it will go live. Township office network. I reviewed the existing network configuration from some information I got from Sergeant Hessler, and I'll be working with him and his tech leads to assess the current capabilities of our network infrastructure, ensure that we have access to all the central services that we need. I noticed that when we got on the Wi-Fi, we couldn't access the printer. That was a problem when I had to scan in a bunch of documents. And then also update the document. I'll create drawings of the network, its components and security presence that'll be usable for both the police as well as the township moving forward. The last item that I have was the police building grant. I contacted the USDA regional office and received the pre-application for the USDA loan to possibly build a police facility with controlled storage, parking areas, and other accommodations. Per USDA, the current loan rate is 2.25% with possible terms up to 30 years. I'll be meeting with Chief Littleton in the next 2 weeks to go over the pre-application. It by no means obligates us in any way. It's just a way for USDA to collect the information they need to have their initial conversations with us. And talking with Chief Littleton, he did tell me that when we were initially going to look for grants, unfortunately there were no grants available for this work, but he has got some flexibility in his budget to shuffle some purchases of vehicles around to offset possible costs associated with any new building facilities that would be built. So there'll be more information on that as we move forward. Right now, we're in the early pre-planning stages. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much. Okay. And at this time, is there any new business?
Yes, I received a call just a few minutes before 5 o'clock. Is Mr. Gasaway on the phone? Mr. Gasaway? Okay, he must not be logged on. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineering put out a public notice regarding some wetlands on the north side of Amity Road on the state, which is owned by the state of Ohio. He brought down to the office, which I did email you trustees, a map of the wetlands and the trails that they will be creating and the parking lot. So there is residents in that area that do have some concerns with their wells and where the parking lot will be and the wetlands. This is state ground. Like I said, I just received this information about 4:50 today. Trustees, have you had time to review anything or your thoughts on this?
I actually did. Right after I spoke with you earlier today, I called a friend from ODNR and another friend from Five Rivers Metro Parks. They gave me some links to some good articles that I printed and read, and if anyone would like copies, I'd be happy to try to copy them and get them, or I may leave some up at the township office. From what I'm understanding, I had a couple questions for them. One, how will the wetlands affect the floodplains and the surrounding farms? I'm told that the wetlands will reduce flooding in the surrounding farm areas, that they will draw water towards that area. I've also learned that wetlands provide habitat for wildlife. And so my question that has not yet been answered is, will this attract more wildlife to our township, or is this going to help contain some of the new predators that have taken up residency around here, some of the coyotes that have multiplied, and will that help get them away from some of the residences and people who have chickens and ducks and such? And the third question that I got an answer to is, how will the wetlands affect the wells along Amity Road? The wetlands will become a natural filtering system for underground water. So it should benefit the people on Amity Road. I haven't had a lot of time to do more research. These might be questions also that we want to pose to the engineers, but supposedly this is going to be good for us. That the wetlands will filter out a lot of pollutants and soil particles, fertilizers, pesticides, and things that have gotten into the soil system, and keep those away from the wells. So given short time to do some quick research and ask people who usually know the answers, that's what I've come up with.
And the resident I spoke to, if you look at the map, on the bottom left-hand corner, that's where the parking lot will be, which will butt right up to the property of White's property and across in Gasway's property across the road. And I think they do have some concerns about the parking lot and issues like that.
Yeah, we might want to discuss that further, because the parking lot has nothing to do really with the benefits of the land itself.
And I don't know how large that parking lot will be.
Right, or how large does it need to be? I don't know how many people they're expecting to attract either, and that's a question we might want to pose.
Well, and I know that area is used for a lot of hunting currently. People go back through there, walk. You see cars parked there all the time on the Wolf Creek side, where people are walking back through at different times of the year. So yeah, this is, Rhonda summed it up best, I think, in the email that she sent, that this is state-owned land and the state's going to do what the state's going to do. But we can collect and elevate questions and possible issues. There's nothing saying that the parking lot has to be there, right? The parking lot actually possibly could be an extension over by the soil and water building, which abuts up to the east side of that map. I did review both the Army engineers write-up as well as the maps and everything else, and I think we have a responsibility to collect questions and escalate those up to the Corps of Engineers. They do provide some contact info in that public notice, so we can do that. But at this point, that's probably all we can do, is elevate questions, find out, one, if the parking, does the parking have to be right up on that lower left corner? Could it be further away from the adjacent properties? Because likely it'll be well lit, and you don't want to create an issue for the resident that lives there. So.
And I did the same. I tried to research and look up some things. And Jason, I know if you're talking about going up on Diamond Mill, I know that there's a pond on the other side. I don't know if it's overgrown, if it's there on Diamond Mill. So I don't know if that's what they were considering. They couldn't put a parking lot there because there is a pond there.
It looks like they have a parking lot on Amity and Diamond Mill. If you look at the
yeah,
map.
I saw. That's what I thought. So yes.
But if that parking lot could be moved over closer to soil and water, maybe.
I mean, it's worth asking, right?
Yes.
Right now, these may be tentative. The parking lot may be a tentative plan while the overall project is more locked in. So
they may not even need 2 parking lots. There is something in their letter that says solicitation of comments and public interest review and comment. I think we might want to take advantage of that and ask them, do they want this to be another public park? Are they, what is their goal for this?
Yeah.
And is this an extension of Sycamore? Is this going to be, why two parking lots? How many people do they expect to attract,
Well,
and for what reason?
And I'll tell you, you look at the map, you see there's about 5 or 6 unnamed tributaries off of Wolf Creek that run through that area. And it is prone to flooding. And the map did show walking trails, unpaved walking trails. So they're looking to, make it a nature preserve of sorts as a wetland.
Right.
Have people go back through there, enjoy nature, maybe see some stuff they haven't seen. Hopefully they don't see that bobcat that's been around Perry Township that seems to be popping up on cams here and there. But in all seriousness, I think we have a diligence to reach out to the Army Corps of Engineers and at least ask those questions, or possibly with Montgomery Soil and Air, or Soil and Water, sorry, because I think they're involved to some extent with this as well.
Okay.
Well, the state park is definitely involved. And are they looking at, that's my question, is are they looking at this as an extension, or what? Because then they have plenty of parking lots.
Is there a trustee that would like to contact anyone from the Army Corps of Engineers?
I'd be happy to reach out.
Okay.
Thank you, Jason.
Not a problem.
I can work with you on it if you need someone to help. Or if you need a backup person, can't talk about it, but
Yeah.
if you can't get with them at some point in time and you need an alternate.
I will say that if the trustees have time to review it further and you come across any questions, just send them to Rhonda. I'm volunteering you, Rhonda.
That's fine.
And then Rhonda can send them through to me, and I'll set something up to talk with them, possibly late this week, if not early next week.
And I think it would be a good idea to check with those residents in that area to see what kind of concerns they have, that when you do talk to them, you can say, this is what their concerns are.
Right.
And I believe there was a time frame. I did not read that, but Mr. Gassaway told me. And I think it's August 27th. So if there's any issues or anything that we need to address, we need to have it completed by that date.
That's why I was trying to look and see where it said that, because it does have a statement where it says closure of comments, but I couldn't find a date.
Well, is this just because it's the Sycamore State Park that they didn't have to notify the township? I take it they're just notifying the residents. Okay, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I know all that state land back there. So, okay.
Yeah, they pretty much can do whatever they want whenever they want, but they should at least get the feel for how people feel about it before they do.
Right. Okay. Moving on, any old business?
We will need a resolution to revise the 2 handicap ramp agreement between Montgomery County Community Development Block Grant and approve trustee Hartshorn as the delegate to sign the paperwork.
I will move that we amend the previous paperwork to name trustee Hartshorn as the delegate for all business pertaining to the ramp and construction of said business.
And I second it.
Trustee Wynn,
Yes.
trustee Mears,
Yes.
trustee Hartshorn.
Yes.
Okay. And under other old business, I do have Mr. Hypes down here regarding the 33-foot by 260-foot strip of land deeded to Eversole Cemetery. I did forward this information to you trustees that I did find some documents and emailed to Nathaniel Peterson, the prosecuting attorney, for review. There is no restriction on the deed or in the resolution/agreement from the township selling part of the land constituting the cemetery. ORC 517.22 states that a township can sell property from a cemetery provided 517.22 is followed. This includes that the removal of remains and stones or monuments, but there is none in that area, or there should not be any. The cemetery may be sold, but it needs to be sold at public sale, which means, for the public auction. It cannot be sold privately to the farmer who uses it for access to their fields. So we would need to, if you're interested, first of all, it would need to be surveyed and then a public auction. So that is the information I found out. And I do believe Mr. Hypes is on tonight.
I am.
So trustees, what are your thoughts? Do you want to keep that strip of land with the cemetery since it does have some historical value where they parked the horse and buggy and carried the casket over to Ebersol Cemetery? Surveying, I don't know. I've heard anywhere from maybe $600 to $1,000 to survey, which would need to come out of the cemetery fund. Then we would need to pay a public auctioneer to sell the ground, which would have to come out of the cemetery fund. And the sale of that strip of land or a portion, the money received would go into the cemetery fund.
I voiced my opinion at the last meeting, and I say no. I'm not interested in selling any township property.
I do believe the cost of surveying from what we would get for the land, the township would be in the hole. We would lose money.
I think at this time, we really need to preserve our township's historical areas. And I just don't think we can separate that.
And I know this might not make any difference, but I would be willing to pay for the survey, because I'm going to have to survey that half of the farm anyway. And I know an auctioneer, so there may not be much cost there. There probably wouldn't be any cost to you, township. I fully respect the idea of wanting to keep that part of the cemetery for historical purposes. So, but I would just throw that out there that it may not be of any financial hit to the township. I'd be willing to pay for that.
And I appreciate that. Mr. Hartstrom, do you have any comments?
Well, I'm actually kind of sitting on the fence on this one because I'm both wanting to stay with the historical relevance of that piece of land, but also understanding the functional purpose that it provides. At this time, I would side with the trustees that I would table this for right now. I just don't have enough information to be able to say one way or another what the cost would be, what the risk is. And I know our township is aware of our money and the money that we're spending. So at this time, I would move forward cautiously and just say that we table this for until early next year, maybe, and revisit it at that time.
I just, one more comment on that. I think if it was going into the general fund, then I might fall more towards one side of the fence. But being as this is going to be part of the cemetery fund, I'm not as pressed to spend the money to maybe or maybe not make back that money.
And my thought on that is it's a historical piece of land. It belongs with that cemetery. And if I am correct, Mr. Hypes can get into his field in another location.
And then
One other
also, I
comment
think
about-
our police,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, also our police, they will park the cruisers there
Yes.
to watch traffic. And
Yes.
also the county, if they are in that area, sometimes they will park their backhoe there. So it does serve.
And sometimes when they have funerals, they will park things over there. This is a piece of history. I mean, this has a lot of history with the township. So I think it belongs with the township.
Okay, one other thing, Ms. Mears, if you've been by the cemetery or an old Dayton, you've seen the little strip of land.
Right.
You know, I can't farm it, that's for sure. It's not going to change any shape or form other than getting some trees trimmed in the future. The only reason I want to do anything with it is just make a better driveway.
Right.
So as far as the police sitting there, the county using, I mean, nothing's really going to change because it would not do me any good to change anything there because I can't really use it for anything.
Right.
It would still be the same as it is now.
I understand that, but what happens like in a few years you decide to separate that and that becomes the driveway to someone's house? That's just my thoughts.
Right. Well, that would be a future thing. If you remember, I was going to split off the 24 acres into two 12-acre lots, and that would be into that 12 acres over there.
Right. So that would become someone's private driveway.
Yes.
Yes.
So if you don't want to sell it, I mean, I don't want to drag this out, forever and hold you guys up, but do you think we would need something in writing where I would have a right-of-way going across that to get into the field or a future yard for the house or anything like that? Do you feel that's necessary or not?
Well, honestly, myself, I don't think we're at that point. You haven't separated any ground or anything or have done anything with that, have you?
No, not yet, no.
Yeah.
Is
I
there
think
any way you can access that field from the
on Clayton.
Clayton Road?
No, I can't get it from Clayton. And there's another drive by the bridge down at the bottom of the hill, but that is too dangerous to come in and out of there all the time. I wouldn't want to do that.
And why can you not access that field from Clayton Road?
Well, that would have to come through basically the other 12 acres of property, and then there's a creek, so I'd have to have a bridge going across the creek, and it floods very badly a lot of times during the year, so that would be a major, major expense.
Okay.
I think my biggest concern is we have to think of the long-term future of Perry Township. And we are not a township that is going to grow industrially. We are not a township that is going to want to bring in businesses and retail and shopping malls. That's never going to happen. We are going to remain an agricultural township, and there's not a lot of revenue or enticement to bring people into the township for any reason. So we may someday down the road need to rely on historical tourism because we don't really have anything else. And in order to keep the township thriving, that may be a possibility. If we start splitting off little pieces of our history and then we decide, hey, we want to invite people into Perry Township and see what we've got, this is what used to be, not what is. And I think we just are not in a position right now to run the risk of giving out any of our history, dealing off any bits that we might need down the road as an attraction.
Okay, I agree. Well, the other question I had, whenever I split this off, of course, there'll be a considerable amount of frontage there, 500 plus feet. Would this 260 feet of that pad there be included in my road frontage for any future home site?
Karen, can you answer that?
Yeah.
Karen might need to do some research on that.
Okay.
If that belonged to Perry Township, I don't know.
Yeah, if that's deeded to the township, I don't think that would be included in that.
Well, there'd probably be 300 feet otherwise. It's going to determine where I would split this line at to make sure I would have 300 feet. So it could be a little over 12 acres, could be a little less than 12 acres. I don't know exactly where this is going to end up. I was kind of hoping that the concrete bridge abutment on the east side of the bridge would be the property line. That's something that's never going to move, at least for another 50 years. So I was going to kind of use that as a property line. I don't know what amount of footage that would entail, but I didn't know if I could count on this 260 feet as being part of that total or not. I don't know if you could tell me that or not, but that would be my only other question.
I think that's a zoning question.
It would be something that I'd have to research.
Okay.
Mr. Hypes, do I understand that you're using that now as an egress and that there is an existing easement?
Well, yeah, my dad and grandpa has been using it ever since I've been alive, so it's been used for 60 plus years. Well, probably 100 years, actually. We've been here 100 years. But one of the main reasons I started all this is because the ground is eroded so bad, it's hard getting in and out of there. This winter, I couldn't even get up out of the field with a four-wheel drive tractor. So that's one reason I got to redo that, to build that up so I can get in and out of there a lot easier. And the other farmer that farms it for me can get in and out of there. So I didn't want to expend, you know, $400, $600, $800, and then you guys tell me I can't use it. So that's why I wanted to kind of get this out in the air now to make sure I had a right of way to go and cross that strip of land in the future.
By Ohio law, if you are using it as an easement, then you can do any maintenance that you need to do to that, as long as it doesn't change the historical property. So if you needed to support the ground and keep it from further eroding,
Right.
you should be able to do that.
Okay.
Even though we would maintain ownership,
Right.
you are permitted to maintain that area because there is an historical easement.
Okay. And as far as on your side of the property, it might only entail 5 or 6 or 8 feet, because most of it's going to be in the field, obviously. So it wouldn't be a much amount at all.
And if I may suggest, maybe at that time, get with Mr. Kraft to review as well.
Okay.
Okay.
But
Any
do
other
you
questions?
think- Well, do you think we need to have something written up? An agreement or a resolution or an easement, or whatever? Do you think I mean, I don't personally need it, but I just want to make sure everything's covered here. Do you think we should do that?
Well, just like you said, you've been using it for the last 100 years and we've never had an issue with it before.
Right.
Yeah, so I personally don't have an issue with it. I know that you've talked to Mr. Kraft before and you know, there's not.
You know, there's going to be new council members 10 years from now, and you know, I'm not going to be around forever, and I just want to make sure all the bases are covered for the future.
Right.
It'd be more for my sons and my grandsons, you know.
I'd kind of like to still be here in 10 years, maybe.
Well, yeah, me too. I plan on being here for another 32, but you know.
I think, Karen, could you look into that as well?
Yes,
Just find
I
out
will.
if there's anything that we should be providing on the other side of this to make sure that, you know, just like we're telling Mr. Hypes that, you know, what happens in 10, 15, 20 years, well, we want to make sure we're doing our due diligence on our side to make sure that that easement is insured. If we're keeping the land, understand that historical value, got it. But if his family's been using it as an easement for 100 years, I think actually writing something up is just a formality at that point, because it's been done for so long. There may be some legal recourse there, just saying, you know, like if you've used it for so long.
Look it up, and under Ohio law, easements may be created in 4 ways: by grant, implication, prescription, or estoppel. I don't know what an estoppel is, but basically it says if we want to put it in writing, we can, but that it can be by implication. That's verbal agreement and understanding.
So yeah, Karen, if you could just dot the I's across T's on that.
I sure will.
Thank you.
What was those for, Mindy?
Yes, sir.
What was those four things you mentioned there?
By grant, implication, prescription, or estoppel, E-S-T-O-P-P-E-L. And that
Okay.
is a new word in my vocabulary, so I'm gonna have to find that one. Easements by estoppel arise when a landowner represents that an easement exists when it does not, or a landowner permits the erection of improvements on his property by a person who believes that he holds an easement. So I guess estoppel is an argument against it.
Okay.
But it says by implication, the finding of an implied easement depends on the intent and agreement of the parties and the circumstances surrounding the transaction. It can be a verbal conveyance. So it can be in writing or orated.
Well, would it be okay if I stopped in and talked to Karen, say in a month or so, and see what she's come up with?
Absolutely.
I don't need to do it in another meeting, I don't think, so maybe her and I can take care of it.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Just
that's
give
what
me a
we'll do.
call and we'll make it happen.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
You're
thank
welcome.
you. Okay, and do we have any visitors this evening that have anything?
Yes, this is Ann McDaniel from Keener Road.
Mm-hmm.
And I do not feel like I have been made whole yet from that project. There are a bunch of issues, not only on my property, but I think all the property owners that are residential, as far as the grass out front, and I have some trees that have been lopsidedly cut. I have part of a stump still in my yard. And I have an extra telephone pole that was put in November with not a thing on it. And I don't know where to go for help.
Okay. I know the telephone pole, we don't do the telephone poles. And I will have to get with Mr. Kraft on the other issues. And you say it's grass?
Yeah, whatever is planted out front does not match what is in our front yard currently.
Well, no, it probably won't be.
And I was told that I would be made whole when this project was over with. And it definitely has not been a pleasant experience. And on top of all that, speed is a real issue on this road now.
Okay, so grass, trees, lopsided trees, and stumps.
Yeah, I got part of a stump. I have two spruce trees that one is cut like 25 feet up in the air and the other one was trimmed 10 feet up.
Do we know that that pole is
Well,
telephone, or is it, could that be a DP&L pole?
It is not a DP&L pole. Spectrum doesn't have poles, and Frontier came out and said, it's not our pole either. It is about 3 feet from the original pole that supposedly was going to get taken out originally. But everything is still hooked up on the original pole, and this empty pole is just sitting there.
And were those trees on the right of way? The pine trees? Cedar trees?
No, they're in my yard. The
They're-
two they trimmed.
So they're in your yard.
Yeah,
I
and
had
Mike
thought-
and his guys trimmed it. Now, the one they took down was the one that is partial stump there.
I
Okay.
had talked to Mr. Kraft about the trees. He had said that Mr. McDaniel was out there at the time that they were cutting, and there was a awareness that they were being cut to that height, and that everything was.
And wait a minute, when they were doing that, it was under the assumption they were going to take all 3 trees because that was planted as a series of 3. And then they cut, and the way they cut the one that they left closest to the road is a good 20 plus feet up in the air. And the other one is maybe 8 to 10 feet, the branches. It just looks awful. Not so much now, but when the leaves are off the tree.
Spectrum does have poles. Can we reach out to them and find
I
out?
already have, and they've been out and said it's not theirs. They had a guy out and contacted his manager or whoever and said it's not them. I've contacted all three of those companies, and they
So
all-
I have no idea who put that poll in because we didn't put the polls in.
Right. It was done November 11th. I have a picture of gentleman, but the one tree blocked the truck that was putting it in.
Well, I'll get with Mr. Kraft tomorrow and find out if we need to. We'll come see you. But with the grass situation, I know it's not gonna match what you have in your yard. But I'll see about the trees and stumps.
I
And
mean, what we have now is like crabgrass and looks awful. And when I was told a year ago that I would be made whole, I just assumed that for those of us that have residential property and not ditches, it's a residential all the way to the road, it looks awful.
okay, I'll get with him tomorrow, and then I'll get with you if that's all right with you.
Okay, absolutely. Mike had also told me he would get a sign at some point. We have a dip in the road right past my house, and it is a blind spot. And the two houses whose driveways empty out into that blind spot are the families that have children that catch buses and their young children.
Mhm.
And I think we need a sign there to slow people down because, as I said, the speed has become awful on this road. And there's nothing, according to Mike, there's not a thing we can do about it. And the speed limit is 55 on this road.
That is true. That is true.
And it's awful. And at least before you guys did this road, it was self-regulating. Now it is not. And they just fly up and down this road.
Okay. Yep, I'll get with Mr. Kraft tomorrow and see what we can work out, and then I'll get with you if that's okay with you.
That would be perfect.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there any other visitors this evening? Okay, no other visitors? Okay, I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
I'll second that.
Mears,
Yes.
Hartshorn,
Yes.
Wynn.
Yes. All right, thank you, everybody.
Yes, thank you. Everybody have a good night.
You too.